Well, been doing a lot of reading and research lately on feminism, particularly this new third wave intersectional feminism. Now, I want to be clear from the very beginning, I do not have a dog in this hunt, personally. Been married for 30 years, have 2 grown daughters, 3 granddaughters, and it's really not that much an issue for me. We've raised our girls what we consider to be the right way. They raised their daughters the right way. They're not feminists. It is, to quote Milo Yiannopoulos, feminism is cancer. That's all it is. Having served in the United States military during the Cold War, studied a bit about communism. And the fact of the matter is, regardless of what anybody says about it, to the contrary, feminism, like most aspects of the current socialist, progressive, liberal, whatever you want to call them, is nothing but communism repackaged. If you ever read Karl Marx's manifesto, and you replace the proletariat with women and the bourgeoisie with men, that is the paradigm of feminism. They've just taken communism, and rather than the proletariat being the underclass, the working class, whatever you want to call them, they just put a pair of panties on it and called it women. Feminism. And the bourgeoisie is, of course, the upper class, the oppressors, and in the case of feminism, they put a 3-piece business suit on it and called them men. And so that's really all it is. They repackaged communism and they're calling it feminism. One of the biggest canards in my mind of this new third wave intersectional feminism is what they call the rape culture. Okay, and I'm going to dive into that one head first. Okay, the first thing you have to understand about is the name rape culture in and of itself is a contradictory term. You have to understand what words mean. Okay, as I addressed in my previous video, words mean specific things. They have to, because otherwise we're into this whole, Alice in Wonderland, Humpty Dumpty, where words mean what we want them to mean, but only for as long as we want them to mean them, and then they can mean something different. That you cannot operate and function in a society like that. Words have to have a concrete meaning. So we have to understand, what does the word culture mean? What is a culture? Well, and I'm going to read a few things here. According to Dr. Maha Chandri at Texas A&M, one of the definitions of culture is a way of life of a group of people, the behaviors, beliefs, values, and symbols that they accept, generally without thinking about it, and that are passed along by communications and imitation from one generation to the next. If you read the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, the first definition of culture is the beliefs, customs, arts, etc. of a particular society, group, place, or time. In general, every source, when you get right down, boil it all down, brass tacks, because I'm just a brass tacks kind of guy, your culture is what is normal, natural, and acceptable within a society, regardless of whatever it is. Okay, now, as that pertains to a rape culture, okay, rape is a very specific criminal charge. And while it does vary from, somewhat, from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, for the purposes of my discussion today, I'm going to use the definition used by the United States Department of Justice that went into effect on January 1, 2013. It defines rape as penetration, no matter how slight, of the vagina or anus with any body part or object, or oral penetration by a sex organ of another person without the consent of the victim. Okay, now that's what rape is. So given the above, the definitions there, the mere assertion we live in a rape culture is a logical fallacy in and of itself. If we did live in a rape culture, it would be perfectly reasonable for any man at will to walk up to any woman of his choosing, anytime, any place, any manner he chose, and rape her, period. And it would be perfectly normal, natural, acceptable. Nobody would think anything of it. And that would preclude there being a criminal charge of rape. Did you catch that? Okay, if your culture is what is normal, natural, and acceptable in a society, the fact that there is a criminal charge of rape necessarily precludes it being part of a culture because it's unacceptable. And especially given that rape is one of, if not the most repugnant crimes that any man can be found guilty of in a court of law. Period. End of discussion. In fact, it's so heinous that the most hardened criminals in Americans' prisons today hold a special place of contempt and certain special treatments, if you will, for rapists once they're on the inside, and especially if it's a child rapist, okay, or someone who's raped an elderly person. They're going to do shit to them that our legal system is precluded from doing. So saying that America or any first world country, I don't care if you're talking about Great Britain, Canada, Australia, Germany, before anyway, I don't want to get off on that. But there's not a single first world country that it has a rape culture. So just the name alone it disproves itself if you have any concept or grasp of language. Now, what we have to understand is these third wave intersectional feminists will try to assert this asinine, concept of a rape culture by citing statistics of 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 women in America's college campuses will be victims of rape or sexual assault. It's patently absurd on its face. Okay, that has never been shown to happen on any college campus or in the population in general in any first world country. The problem with this is, in order to get these numbers, okay, what they've had to do is they've had to broaden the definition, not legally, just they're going to call it what they want to call it because they're Humpty Dumpty, of sexual assault to mean anything. Okay, if you're a guy and you're at work and you're standing in the hallway talking with somebody, and a woman walks past and brushes your arm and her breast touches you, she can have you charged with sexual assault, even though you didn't touch her, she ran into you. Okay, and I've seen so many videos, and thank God for video technology today, because if this kind of garbage was going on, when I was a young man, the prisons would be absolutely full of people, of men accused of rape who hadn't done a thing wrong. These women are screaming rape or sexual assault about guys that they only ever met and spoke to one time, if that. So we have to be very careful and understand, because sexual assault is another criminal charge. So when these women are running around screaming sexual assault, they're accusing a man of a criminal, of a crime, without regard for the fact that they're lying. They don't care that they're lying. They're making this shit up. And it's got to stop. It's gotten to the point now where a lot of these guys, and this has happened, pick up a newspaper, go online and look it up yourself. These women have gotten so bad about it. They go to a club, they meet a guy, they hook up, they go back to her place or his place, whatever, and they have consensual sex. Okay, but the next morning she wakes up and oh, I'm sorry, whatever. Or if he doesn't call her back for a few days or whatever else. Or she just looks over and goes, oh my God, I can't believe I did that, whatever else. Okay, she's going to turn around and charge him with rape. It was perfectly consensual sex. Okay, but she's going to accuse him of rape. All right. And the way a lot of the laws are today, there's one recently passed in California, I believe, that says that if you've got, if you're drunk, if a woman's drunk, she cannot give consent to have sex. Well, I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, but if you don't have a blood alcohol test or breathalyzer or something like that to prove that you were too inebriated to give consent, you can't prove that you were too drunk to give consent. But it's this kind of insanity that's even being legislated. Okay. And what about the guy? If she's too drunk to give consent, well, he was too drunk to give consent either. Okay. And then we get into the whole problem with the definition of rape that's being used by the Justice Department, because it doesn't account for women raping men, which does happen. Most guys just aren't complaining about it because it's like, hey, I got something. But then you do have cases where you've got underage boys who are, and I hate to use the word victimized, but they are being victimized by older women, like guys in school with their teachers. I mean, how many times have we heard lately about teachers, having sex with a student, with a female teacher that's having sex with a female student? Well, she's just having sex with a male student, rather. But if it's a male teacher and a female student, oh, that's rape. Well, that's because the way the law is written, it doesn't account for the other way around. And every time since 2013, when this went into effect, so the last 3 years, there have been attempts made to make the law gender neutral. Okay, the National Organization of Women has fought it. Okay, it's almost like they want women to be able to get away with it, but they don't want guys to be able to get away with it. So we have that to contend with. And it's the whole thing is just totally messed up. There's just so many cases going on today, and the whole thing is just a damn mess. And I'm just going to go ahead and get into some more of the details here in a minute. Going back, to let's use the FBI, and specifically the Bureau of Justice Statistics, which is the gold standard for anybody who's trying to do research on any crimes in America. They keep meticulous records. There's a problem even there, okay? Because according to the FBI, the number of rapes and sexual assaults among female college students was 6.1 per thousand, okay? While the rate for non-college females in the same age group was 7.6 per thousand, okay? Now these are numbers for rape and sexual assault, whether it was an actual rape, an actual attempted rape that she was able to fend off, someone assisted her in fending it off, and such wide latitude has been used in the definition of sexual assault for something as, like I said earlier, as simple as just accidentally brushing into somebody. That's considered sexual assault. Okay, but even then, it's 6.1 per thousand for women in college, and 7.6 per thousand for women in that same age group not in college. That's a far cry from 1 in 4 or 1 in 5. Now, if you want to get into the hardcore numbers on it, we're going to go to the FBI's Uniform Crime Report, okay, which in 2013, which is the last year the full data has been available, the actual rate of rapes, okay, and even then it's actual rape, attempted rape, assault with intent to commit rape, incest, that's including with consent of the victim, and I want to be clear here, I'm talking about and there's it's a sick world out there, but you do have older people, 18 and older, that are engaged in incestuous relationships. It's sick and twisted, but that's the world we live in. But they even consider that to be rape. And statutory rape, also where you have the victim's consent, such as if you got a boy and a girl who are dating in high school, and let's say the boy turned 18, but the girl's still 16, well, and they've been dating for a couple, 3 years, and there's a couple of cases that were in the news not too long ago, he's still charged with statutory rape. They've been dating for years. They've been, knocking it out in the backseat of daddy's car or wherever for a long time, but because he's now over the age limit, he's been charged with statutory rape, and that's going to follow him for the rest of his life. Okay, so there are problems in the Justice Department getting all this nailed down. But anyway, the whole point of that is, when you use the Uniform Crime Report for actual rape, attempted rape, assault with intent to rape, incest with victim, including with victim's consent, and assault and statutory rape, including with victim's consent, the actual rate is 25.2 per 100,000. Okay, not 6.1 per thousand. Okay, that's 25.2 per 100,000 for actual rapes, attempted rapes, blah blah blah. Okay, that's 1 in 4,000. Now that's still 1 in 4,000 too damn many, but it's not 1 in 4 and it's not 1 in 5. It's 1 in 4,000. To put that in context, okay, you stand a better chance of being hit by lightning than you do of being raped. Because a couple of sources I've checked, the odds of being struck by lightning are 1 in 3,000. The odds of being raped, 1 in 4,000. So, you stand a better chance of being struck by lightning than you do of being raped. But they keep throwing this rape culture at us, okay, as if every woman who's turning around is getting raped every other day, okay, and that's just not the case. Now what they'll do is, when you point these facts out to them, these are facts. This is not my opinion. This is not my conjecture. These are facts. Okay, so when you point these facts out to these feminists, okay, the first thing they're going to do is go, oh, well, rapes are underreported by as much as 80%. Okay, but that in and of itself is a logical fallacy, because you cannot quantify an unknown. Okay, if a rape or sexual assault's unreported to the authorities, how do you know it's 80%? Okay, how can you say what percentage of alleged rapes go unreported if you don't know how many there were? It's impossible. Okay, now it is a fact that a goodly number of rapes, attempted rapes, sexual assaults, whatever, do go unreported. That's a fact. Nobody argues that. Okay, all I'm pointing out is you cannot quantify an unknown. So when you say that 80% of them are going unreported, somebody pulled that number straight out of their ass, because that's the only place you can get that from. Okay, there are no statistics. When pushed on that, they'll say, well, you get your rape crisis centers. These women are calling into a rape crisis center. I'm going, okay, fine, so it's been reported. Are y'all keeping the stats on this? Are you telling these women, go to the police, report the crime? Okay, so, but it has been reported. Okay, then there are a goodly number of women who just don't report it. Okay, and I hate to be harsh. I do not mean to be harsh, and I'm not trying to slam women or anything like that. I just deal in facts and evidence. Okay, if you have been raped, if you have been sexually assaulted, you need to go report it, because we need to get that scum son of a bitch off the streets and in prison where he belongs. Okay, it's just that simple. Okay, if you have actually been raped, if you have actually been had an attempted rape, okay, whatever, you need to go report it. It's not easy. You are going to be questioned. Okay, and that's very simply because we live in a society where you are innocent until proven guilty. But if you do not work with the police, okay, to give them all the information they need And they have to go down and dot every I and cross every T. Okay, because if they don't, the DA and the defense attorney, when it goes to trial, okay, the defense attorney is going to get thrown out because they don't have the right evidence. Okay, you want it to go to trial. You want to get this son of a bitch locked up, but behind bars for the rest of his life, if at all possible. Because I don't want my daughters or my granddaughters or my great-grandchildren. Well, you don't want your children, your daughters, being raped. Well, if you don't report it, and this asshole's still running around on the streets, that's what's going to happen. Because the fact of the matter is, 90% of rapists are recidivist rapists. They're serial rapists. They do it again and again and again and again until they finally get caught. Okay, and again, I'm not blaming women. I'm not victim blaming here. Okay, but if you've been raped and you don't report it, you have allowed this guy to rape many other women. Okay, it's just a fact. So if it does happen, you need to report it. You need to get in there and work with the police to catch this son of a bitch. Okay, that's just thought. There's no other way to put it. But just to be magnanimous, okay, and play devil's advocate for a minute, let's just assume, for the sake of this discussion, that 75% of rapes do go unreported. Okay. Now, given our earlier number that actual rapes from the Uniform Crime Report, 25.2 per 100,000, 1 in 4,000. Okay, if that's only 25%, well, now we're up to 1 per 1,000. That's still 1 in 1,000, way too damn many. Okay, but it's not 1 in 4, 1 in 5. Okay, it doesn't do anybody any good when you start inflating your numbers by 200, 250%. Okay, or 200 to 250 times what the actual number is. Okay, so it's just, it's bullshit. Okay, now if we're going to use the 1 in 1,000, okay, as an actual number, okay, assuming that 75% go unreported. Now what we're down to, let's take a look at CDC's numbers. And again, see, I like using gold standards for getting my facts and evidence from. According to the CDC, okay, you stand a bigger chance of dying from ischemic heart disease, malignant neoplasms, which is cancer, stroke, or any of the all other disease categories that the CDC uses than you are being raped. Okay, it's just absurd. Okay, when they're trying to do this, and to make it even worse than that yet, okay, is the 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 number, or 1 in 3, whatever number they're pulling out of their ass, puts rape in first world countries, okay, on a par with the Congo, war-torn Congo, where rape is used as a weapon of war. Okay, we've got more rape than Lesotho in South Africa, which is at 91.6 per 100,000. Okay, so it's ludicrous. Okay, to assert numbers like that, it's insane. Okay, so let's deal in facts and evidence so we can address the problem and really deal with it. Now, there is a huge problem that we're starting to see more and more and more of lately. And that is, and I hate to have to go here, because a lot of women, they're screaming, well, why don't you believe us? Why don't you believe women when they say they've been raped? Why don't you believe when they say they've been sexually assaulted? That's because of the false rape accusations. And they're rampant. They're absolutely rampant today. And anybody who does what I'm doing right here, just calling bullshit on it, it's called a rape apologist, because they don't want you to talk about it. Okay, I'm sorry, I will talk about it. I'll talk about anything. Okay, I'm not embarrassed, I'm not ashamed at all. So I'm gonna just dive head first into this one. There's a young man in Arizona by the name of Tyler Cost. He has been, at the time of this writing, sitting in a jail cell for nearly 2 years, despite clear evidence that 13 young girls conspired against him and accused him of being a serial rapist, okay, to get even with him because they didn't like him, okay? And all of this despite the fact that their own Facebook and other social media entries prove that they lied. But he is still sitting in a jail cell because they have to wait for the process to run its course before they can release him. He's lost 2 years of his life because these 13 girls lied out their ass. And I'm sorry, as far as I'm concerned, if you knowingly, willfully, and intentionally accuse somebody of rape when they did not rape you, you should have to do the time that they would have had to do if they had been convicted of the crime. Okay? Because this bullshit's got to end. Every time a woman cries rape when there was no rape, okay, it makes it harder and harder and harder to believe the women who actually have been raped, who have been sexually assaulted. Okay? Another primary example, Emma Salkowitz, Mattress Girl. The whole damn thing was made up. The whole damn thing was made up. She was never raped. She was never sexually assaulted. She made the whole damn thing up to get the attention of some guy, thinking that he'd like her and maybe start dating her or whatever because he felt sorry for her. Okay? This is how sick and twisted this woman is. In 2006, the Duke Lacrosse case. You had 3 men on the Duke Lacrosse team were accused of raping a stripper who was hired to come to the fraternity house and do a performance. She accused them of rape, saying she was raped. They were absolutely vilified in the local, state, and national press for nearly a year before the charges were finally dropped because there was a complete lack of evidence. And not only was there a complete lack of evidence, there was actually evidence. One of the men could not have done it because he was across town at a bank, at an ATM, withdrawing some cash. They got video footage of him at the bank at the time the thing was going down, allegedly going down. Okay? And all this because Crystal Gayle Magnum didn't want to go to be involuntarily committed for psychiatric. Okay, her own father didn't believe her. Okay? So, I mean, and this happens all the time. In Fort Collins, Colorado, a man by the name of Dustin Toff, he lost his job, nearly lost his military career, okay, because he was falsely accused by Catherine Bennett of kidnapping and raping her. He didn't even know her. She didn't, I mean, they barely knew each other, but they didn't really know each other. But she just came up with this twisted bullshit, okay? In Arlington, Texas, Tracy Robertson was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison after her husband came home from work, found her and her boyfriend getting it on in the front seat of the pickup truck. Okay, well, when she saw her husband walk up, she screamed rape, knowing that her husband had a CCW and that he carried because of the part of town he worked in. Okay, she screams rape. He pulls his gun and shoots the guy that he thinks is raping his wife because she's screaming rape. Okay, there's a man dead today because this woman lied and screamed rape when it wasn't rape because she didn't want to get caught in an infidelity. Okay, she should have been thrown in prison for 30 years, damn premeditated murder. She lied, she knew she lied, and a man is dead because of it. 2.5 years. Okay, everybody's all pissed off, bent out of shape right now because that dumbass punk kid, okay, who got drunk off his ass at Stanford, okay, and finger diddled that girl behind the dumpster, okay, because he got a light sentence. Okay, well, he was drunk, she was drunk, they're both drunk. California's got this, well, if you're drunk, you can't give consent, either way. Okay, and now everybody's all pissed off. Well, personally, I mean, I don't have any sympathy for the boy. I'd love to have seen him get a lot longer in jail. Okay, because what he did was wrong. Okay, and I don't buy the I was drunk bullshit. Okay, I have been drunk in my life. Okay, especially back during my rodeo days. Oh yeah, oh yeah. But I ain't never been that drunk. Never been that drunk. Okay, and the fact of the matter is, guys get so drunk, well, you can't do anything anyway. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, you know, what he did deserves prison time. A lot more than what he's actually getting. Okay, but the fact of the matter also is that there are a lot of times when women do shit like that, okay, they accuse a man of rape and didn't do it, and they cry because, you know, and they either, no charges are filed or they get a light sentence, if anything. Okay, I'm not trying to justify what this boy did at all. Like I said, I think he needs to do at least 5 years in prison. Okay, but there are problems in the justice system all the way around, everywhere. Okay, our system of justice is not perfect by any stretch. By any stretch. There's a lot of problems that need to be addressed. Okay, on both sides. Another primary example of this. There's a young man by the name of Brian Banks. When he was 16 years old, he and his girlfriend had consensual sex. Okay, she was 15 years old. He was an outstanding high school football player, had aspirations for college and the pros. And she got mad at him and accused him of rape. All right. That young man spent 10 years behind bars because she lied. Okay. And it wasn't until she tried to friend him on Facebook, okay, that he accepted her friend request, and she admitted that she had lied about the whole thing. And it was her post to him on Facebook that eventually led to him being exonerated and released from prison. But he still lost 10 years of his life based on the lie of some dumb little girl. Okay? I mean, I could go on for days and days and days about, you know, these false rape allegations, but I don't need to. Okay? All you have to do is go on YouTube and type false rape allegations, and you can watch hours of cases reported in the mainstream media, local news stations, where these women have accused men of rape, and it turns out to be just complete bullshit. And not just here in the United States. It's here, Canada, England, Australia, anywhere in the world. Okay? It's happening all over the place. These women are just damn well lying. And these are not isolated cases, nor are they rare. You know, now these feminist groups, they're going to say that, you know, well, no, false rape allegations only about 2%. Okay? Because they're citing a report, a single report, for a single year, 1990, that came out of the Portland Police Department, where they reported of the 431 complaints of completed or attempted sexual assault. Okay, now it's important to understand this. It's not a completed only rapes. It's completed rapes or attempted sexual assault. Okay, and according to them, it was 1.6 were found to be false, without ever revealing what their methodology was that they used in coming up with this number. And feminists have run with it ever since. In fact, every time you go online and you find that 2% number, okay, it's all going back to this one thing. Okay, so they're using this one municipality, okay, in Portland, Oregon, for one report for 1 year that we don't know whether it is or is not even accurate for that municipality for that year, and using it to justify saying, oh no, false rape allegations only count for 2% in America. Okay, that's as retarded stupid as when you go and watch the news and they're saying, okay, we've done a Pew Research poll of, to find out who likes this, that, or the other damn thing. And well, you look at it, they only polled 500 people, and we live in a country of over 250, 300 million people. But they got 500, and they're trying to use that as an example of the nation as a whole. It's bullshit. Okay. Now, if you go to the FBI, okay, they've got a similar thing where they're saying it's 8%. But again, they don't reveal their methodology. Okay. And it was also only for 1 year, 1997. Okay. And it used the same thing, rape and sexual assault, without going in defining exactly what this sexual assault is. Was the sexual assault an attempted rape that failed? Okay, or there's no way of knowing what they use because they won't reveal the data. They just threw this number out there. Okay, so you can't really trust that. Okay, because again, it's for 1 year. We don't have the methodology. Okay, now the thing is, it doesn't matter what source you use qualifying false rape allegations. Regardless of how diligent the research was done, how meticulous the methodology was, it doesn't matter, because the feminists are going to scream and call you a rape apologist. Okay, and you'll be called a misogynist and every other hateful name there is to try to discredit you for even bringing this up. I don't care. Okay, these women have nothing I want, nothing I need. Okay, they got nothing over me. They can't hurt me. Okay, because I will just stand toe-to-toe with them, look them all dead square in the eye, and call them bullshit artists and liars. I don't care. Okay, until these people start using real facts, real figures, real numbers with open source methodology to find out what the truth is. Okay, they're pulling this shit out of their ass, and that's what it smells like, is pure shit. Okay, so what I did was I actually took the time and did some real digging. And it's not that hard. It's just really, it's not that hard. Okay. There's a professor from Purdue University who back in 1994 did an investigation. His name is Eugene Cannon, and he went to a community in the Midwest. Because of the methodology used and the meticulous standards that they used for investigating rape cases, and he looked at 9 years from 1978 to 1987. 9 years, okay, of every forcible rape case that was ever reported to this municipality's police department. And the reason it's important that you use a 9-year spread, okay, is because you're going to avoid false positives, false negatives, for if you've got a year that's got a peak or a spike rather, or if you've got a year that just, there was nothing going on. Okay, so you eliminate false data. Okay, you can get a long-term data set to draw some proper conclusions. Okay, now the reason that this community was so important, okay, was the police in that jurisdiction, number one, do not have the option of dropping an investigation, okay, even if they find that the complainant is suspect or unfounded. They don't have that option. The only person who could declare a charge of forcible rape to be false was the complainant herself. And then the only person who could enter that false rape into the records was the original investigating officer himself. Okay? Because they wanted to make damn sure that if they had a rape case, when it went to court, that the DA had everything he needed. Okay? They had all the evidence they needed to put a real rapist away. There's no chance here that the defense attorney is going to get him off and he's going to walk on technicality. Okay, so they were absolutely meticulous. Okay, they actually care about putting real rapists behind bars. Okay, and I fully support that. So anyway, every one of them was meticulously investigated. They offered polygraphs to the victim or alleged victim and to the alleged assailant, both. Okay, both of them. Now, everybody knows that you cannot use polygraphs in court, okay? But it is a useful tool for police to investigate, okay? Because if you have a woman come in screaming rape, and they put her on a polygraph, and it turns out that every word coming out of her mouth is a lie, okay, well, maybe we need to start, focusing part of our investigation over here to see if maybe she really wasn't where she said she was, or she wasn't doing what she said she was doing when this happened. Okay, but that's only part of the picture. They're still going to investigate it as if it actually happened. They're going to interview everybody. They're going to do what they got to do. So the only way that they could call it a false rape allegation is if the alleged victim said, okay, no, I wasn't really raped. Okay. And through the course of all this, looking at the 109 cases of forcible rape reported to the police department for this municipality from 1978 to 1987, those 9 years, 41% of them were determined to be a false rape allegation. Okay. That's not when it went to court, okay, and the defense attorney got him off. That's not part of this. Okay. This is where the woman reporting forcible rape admitted she lied. Okay. Using similar methodology to that one, there were research was done for 2 large Midwestern universities. Okay, over a period of 3 years. Okay, now there's no polygraphs used in this one, but using similar methodology, they determined that over half of all those complaints of rape on these campuses were false, demonstrably false. Okay. I mentioned in my previous video, I was a United States Air Force security policeman from 1980 to 1984. For those 4 years when I was in the service, okay, we need to understand something. Anytime there's a rape accusation, okay, the Air Force Office of Special Investigations takes over that case. In my personal opinion, okay, and some people may say I'm biased, and okay, that's fine, I don't care. I've worked with these guys. Air Force OSI, at least at that time, was the absolute best investigative agency in the country, if not in the world. Okay. For the 4 years, 1980 to 1984, there were 1,200 cases of rape reported in the United States Air Force. A researcher by the name of Charles McDowell went through all of the OSI cases from 1980 to 1984. And what he found was, through the OSI investigation, 45% of these rape allegations were determined to be false. These are women who are supposed to be America's best and brightest, serving in the United States military, in the Air Force, and they're lying about being raped. Okay, we're not talking about there's not enough evidence or the defense got him off. No, this is demonstrably false, damned rape allegations. Craig Silverman, who's a former prosecutor of the Denver, Colorado prosecutor's office, this man put hundreds of men behind bars for rape. Okay, that was his big thing. Okay, he loved nothing more. He got up in the morning eating his cereal, thinking of ways to get guys thrown in prison for rape. Okay, the man's serious about it. Okay, but his conclusion was that 45% of all reported rapes to the Denver Police Department were just pure bullshit, lies. Okay, Plano, Texas Police Department. Okay, a spokeswoman by the name of Sergeant Sandra Tamio reported to the Plano Star-Courier that false rape allegations were a common occurrence in their jurisdiction, and cited numbers indicating a 47% rate of false rape accusations. Demonstrably false. No question about it. The woman just made it up. Okay. Now, as I mentioned earlier, anytime you point this out, feminists are going to demonize you. They're going to attack you. They're going to call you everything in the world but blessed. okay, because you're punching holes in their bullshit, okay? And they will do it without even looking at the data, without going in and researching and checking the methodology used in the reporting, okay? Did the person who did the report, did they do a proper job of researching it, okay? They won't even look at it. They will dismiss it out of hand. They will call you a misogynist. They'll call you, they'll scream patriarchy. They'll call you a rape apologist. They're going to call you everything in the book, and they don't care. Because it's not in their vested interest, okay, to admit that this is a problem, okay? So basically, they're just resorting to the liar, liar, pants on fire school of research, okay? Even the military records, like I said, 1980, 1984, those 1,200 cases over that 4-year period, they refute that by saying, well, the military is patriarchy, so what do you expect? Well, I expect service members to be honest, okay, when reporting a crime like this, especially of this nature. But it just doesn't fit their narrative of a rape culture. Since 1992, and this is one that they can't argue with, okay, which is why I hit them in dead square, and I just throw it right in their face. Blam, here you go. Since 1992, the Innocence Project has succeeded in having 351 men freed from prisons here in the United States, most after having served more than a decade behind bars for a crime that they did not commit. That they not only did not commit, they could not have committed it. Okay? They've been totally exonerated. About a third of them had served more than 20 years behind bars. Some as many as 30 and 35 years behind bars for a crime that they did not commit. Because these women are lying. Okay? They're lying because, they hooked up with this guy and, they were afraid mommy and daddy were going to fuss at them, so they lied and said that they had been raped. A woman having an affair got caught, like that bitch in Arlington, okay, accusing a man of rape. There's a whole slew of insane reasons why women do this shit, okay? And men are serving time in prison for crimes they did not commit, okay? Like I said before, rape does happen. Any rape is too many rapes, okay? Nobody disputes that. Nobody, okay? But it's a fact. Women lie about it, okay? And the only way that you're going to stop the problem of people not believing women when they say they've been raped is for these feminists and every other woman in America to stand up, because they're not going to listen to us, okay? We're men of the patriarchy, okay? It's going to be women have to do this. They're going to stand up, and when a woman accuses a man of rape and he didn't do it, okay, instead of saying, well, he got off scot-free or the system doesn't work, when it's proven that nothing happened, they're going to have to stand up and say, send that bitch to prison now. Send her to prison because she's fucking it up for the rest of us. Okay? That's the only thing that's going to stop this. Okay? So that way we're not wasting, the police department and the prosecutor's office time and everybody else's time and resources, which are paid for with our tax dollars. Okay? We're paying for this. Okay? Being wasted, pursuing untamed ornithoids. It's a wild goose chase. Okay? And it's a waste of time and resources. Okay? And that's, it's got to stop. It's got to stop. So that the police can pursue real rapists and put their asses behind bars where they need to be. Okay? One of the things I've heard a lot of women complain about is, the sentences have been lowered. The standards have been lowered for rape. Well, I remember when a rapist was given the electric chair. Okay? And it wasn't until after it came out originally, back years and years and years ago, decades ago, that they had actually been executing men who had never done a damn thing wrong. The state was executing people based on a woman's lie. How these women can live with themselves, I have no idea. And it's got to stop. Okay, it's got to stop. The problem today on college campuses, where a lot of women are being indoctrinated with this crap about feminism and the whole rape culture lie and all the rest of this, is you've got these gender studies and women's studies classes that are being taught by old second wave feminists, okay, who, you know, they got a degree in women's studies or gender studies, and they can't go get a job doing anything else, okay? Because if it turns out that when everybody finally realizes everything they've been taught is a bunch of bullshit, they're gonna have to go get a real job, and they don't want to do that, okay? Because they can't. They're not even qualified to work at McDonald's flipping hamburgers. So they have to keep perpetuating the lie, scaring the crap out of these young girls. Okay, with this 1 in 3, 1 in 4, 1 in 5 nonsense. Okay, so they can keep the job. Follow the money. Who's making money off of this crap? That's where you find out where the problem is. Okay, it's the most evil hucksterism perpetrated against, you know, young women, and I don't know how long. Okay, so let's stop with the bullshit and lies. Let's stop with the rape culture, okay, and start dealing with facts, evidence, and the truth. Okay, teach these young women. Yes, go to school, go out, have a good time, enjoy yourself. Just be safe. Just be safe. Don't get stupid. Don't run around doing shit that's going to get you in trouble. Okay, you know, all these you know, consent classes where they've got, you know, they're teaching boys how not to rape. It's the most asinine fucking thing in the world. Okay, because if you're not inclined to commit rape, you're not going to commit rape. Okay, and if you are inclined to commit rape, there's no class in the world that's going to teach you not to, because you're sick in the head. Okay, it's like just like trying to teach a dog, you know, not to want to eat meat. Okay, it's not going to happen. So anyway, that's enough of my rant for now. It's you know, one of those things that I've been giving a lot of thought to, and it really hacks me off. We got to start dealing with real issues, with real numbers, real facts and figures, and just stop the bullshit. It's got to stop.